my friends. Welcome to Sort of Brilliant, a show where the characters are made up and Hogwarts house sorting absolutely does matter. My name is Rachel.
And I'm her best friend and co-host, Lauren. Every other week, we're going to invade a fandom and determine whether your favorite character belongs in Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. There's bound to be some arguments along the way.
But in the end, we're always right.
Well, according to us.
According to us.
Hello, what's up, everyone? We are super excited about our episode today, mostly because it's Christmas time, which is the best time of the year. I don't know what music I can sing because I don't know what's copyrighted.
Yeah,
and no one wants to hear me sing anyway. I can't even go like fa la 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 la.
Oh, that was cute. I'd love to hear you sing a little
caterwauling.
Christmas jingle.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I'm sure it's adorable.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you ever go caroling?
Never.
Never in the city of New York?
No, absolutely not. I would rather die.
The show we're reviewing suggested to me that everybody goes caroling in New York, so that's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, these shows about New York will suggest a lot of things to you that are untrue, as in we go to Times Square when the New Year's Eve ball drops, which is absolute garbage BS. No New Yorker goes to that. That's all tourists.
Not even for a date? That's what it was, wasn't it? It was like a date?
No. We might go see the tree and take a picture
at Rockefeller.
At Rockefeller, but there
I know from the show
places to go.
30 Rock is where Rockefeller.
Oh, very, very nice. Yeah, with the ice skating rink that I've never been on. I will not. Too expensive. Oh,
now I feel like a fake Chicagoan because I've definitely been to the rink at Millennial Park. So,
well, that's good. Sometimes people from New York hate New York, so we stay out of the really populated places.
I saw a couple of weeks ago that a guy fell into a sinkhole full of rats. So
yeah, no, that's fun. That tracks. Like that's exactly. Yeah, and I had said they're going to start charging $3,000 a month for the sinkhole for the guy. That's,
in rent.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I love New York. I can talk bad about New York. You can if you're not from here, but I can. So I'm just going to say what I want about it. So, in the spirit of Christmas, we decided to cover this very, very cute Netflix show, Dash and Lily. Really, really adorable.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people. Well, I mean, I came up on my Netflix queue first, which was great. Netflix is doing its job. That's what I pay it for. But people on the timeline, the Twitter timeline, which I frequent, were talking about it too. So I was like, I'll check it out. And it's really, really quick show, 8 episodes, 30-minute episode. Does not require brain power or even really attention paid to it. Rachel and I we really wanted to do it. It's extremely cute. But we're going to struggle this episode because the characters are extremely stereotypical to the houses that they're in.
Like very much so that it's apparent from the first minute for each character when they show up on screen, because Lauren recommended the show to me and she had said we should do this one. It's cute. And I started watching it, and a minute into Dash, I clocked him. A minute into Lily, I clocked her, and she was like, "Yep, that's true."
That's basically all there is to them. And Rachel has this thing where she's like, "I can't explain why they are what they are. They just are." Right. And these characters were big on that. It was just they just are.
So yeah, well, that's my thing with sorting anyway. I kind of get a feeling. I get my feeling, because I'm a Gryffindor, and that's what we run on. And I get the feeling, and then I go, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, immediately. So throughout this episode, you may hear some lulls where I'm just but he just is that. I can just tell because it's really, really obvious. I would love to hear from you guys if after you watched it, or no, not after you watched it, as you were watching it. Actually, I don't know if people sort as they're watching.
Are you normal, or do you sort everybody you meet?
Right. Well, hopefully going forward in the media you consume, you do start to think about what Hogwarts houses people are in, because it's very important. It's very important. But yeah, they're really obvious. More so than many other characters that we've looked at. That's not to say that there's anything wrong with it. I liked them a lot. I really liked Dash a lot.
No, it's so weird because it's not even they're loud either. Dean Winchester is a loud Gryffindor.
Yeah.
These Dash and Lily just are. They just
But
are
then,
what they are.
But then you never know, because people always surprise me with where they put characters that I find obvious, like the Hufflepuff Dean thing, where I think he's obviously a Gryffindor, and people will fight tooth and nail for Hufflepuff Dean. Or honestly, it's like Tony Stark. People go like ham on Slytherin Tony Stark, and I don't agree.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I guess I would be super interested to hear if people thought that Dash and Lily were in a house that we didn't put them in, because I mean, usually when we do this, we kind of, you know, good English majors who did the argumentative essays always had to finish with the paragraph on like the obvious argument against you and then refute it.
yep.
And I like I could not with any other house with them but the one I put them in. I was like, nobody would argue this with me. Like, why should I
Yeah.
even try?
No, I know. And that's kind of is something that I really enjoy doing with this podcast, is like you put up a house that's really popular for a character that you disagree with, and you just argue against that. It makes it so much easier to prove your point. Whereas with this one, it's like, if you argue with me about either Dash or Lily, I really don't see why you would. It's it's very
But I'm
clear.
super interested to hear. Like, I
I
almost
know.
want to change my mind because I'm so mad
Yeah.
at how
Oh, okay.
stereotypical it is.
We'll do a round of me telling you that he's actually a different house, and you can argue against it. That way we'll get you like pumped up for fighting.
Like I don't even think it would be a fun fight because they're just I would just like you would have to like seriously think of things too that
I
made it a
know.
different house, and I feel like that would be extremely hard.
I'm thinking about it as I'm talking, and I'm not coming up with it.
Right, exactly. Like you're
Yeah.
like, maybe he could go into this and then there's something immediate that you hit a wall and you're like, I can't
Yeah.
even contort him into being Dash is a Ravenclaw. So you're like, maybe I could like maybe the closest cousin is Slytherin in that sense. So like maybe I can argue Slytherin, but Dash doesn't enjoy other people. So you're
Oh, but Dash really likes books and
does like
academic
books.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he
Yes.
could be a Slytherin,
He
except for the complete lack of ambition and
Rachel,
close
we
circle
were
of
actually just
people.
talking about this tonight with another character that we're like prepping for about like Slytherin logic versus Ravenclaw logic, because we had been in an argument about like, well, this character is very logical, so like, and I had been saying they were Slytherin, and like actually, and I might have mentioned this because we're filming out of order, so maybe I accidentally made this point already, but Slytherins actually tend to be more stereotypically logical than Ravenclaws do, because Slytherins have to look at other people and figure out how they think and like react in the way that they have deduced another person thinks. Like they have to work their way through that in order to get what they want out of other people and to get
Right.
going. And Ravenclaws are just like, whatever I think is the correct way of thinking, and so they
Yeah.
stare you in the face. Like like they could be completely wrong. Like I guess I'll bring up Lockhart again. Like they stare you in the face and they say this is right, and it is because that's their logic. Yeah.
Lockhart's a very good example of doing that. Very absolutely doesn't care what you're saying. Absolutely doesn't care what the truth is objectively to someone else. It's not his truth.
Yeah, it only matters it's your own universe. That's a Ravenclaw. So like Slytherins tend to be more stereotypical logically. But the dashes again. So I don't want to keep saying disappointing, but like his when I was watching the show and was immediately like, oh, a Ravenclaw, I was like, so what is his system? And Dash's system is basically just only rely on your own self and your own thoughts, which I
Completely.
think is the most like I like start a bingo card for how many times we use the word stereotypical, but like which is
Right.
the most what a person would think of a Ravenclaw you could be. It's just that you
Yeah.
only rely on your own thoughts. Like he hasn't built out another system. He doesn't have like a faith he follows, or like he doesn't even really follow as much as he loves books. He doesn't even follow like the lessons of books or like that sort of system.
No.
His whole thing is like other people suck and are dumb, so I'm only going to rely on myself. And it plays into this whole like when we meet Dash, like the big oh no Christmas like conundrum is that Dash hates Christmas and Lily loves Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that Dash hates Christmas is because his parents got divorced on Christmas and his girlfriend broke up with him. So he's just like, everybody's trying to force joy on me, and there's nothing cheerful about this time of year, and that's so stupid, and I hate everybody. So like,
Right.
screw Christmas. Like, that's it. That's
As
literally it. That's
as
Dash.
you're talking, he's striking me a little bit as a Slytherin.
No, because oh, because the like, I can't, like, the way that he treats other people is not like a Slytherin at all.
I
Like,
only said that to trigger and anger
oh
your
my god,
feelings. You're
you
fine.
almost triggered me. I was
I
close.
know.
And
No
then
more,
calmed me
no
down.
spite sorting. You're not catching me there again. No, no, he's very clearly a Ravenclaw for all the reasons Lauren already mentioned. But then just going into the bookstore, going in there, finding this book, the whole the whole plot revolves around the fact that this man's a Ravenclaw. Like, because he takes that book and it's immediately like, ooh, a puzzle I can solve. And he's got to prove to himself that he can absolutely do it. Like, I don't think it's at all related to finding the girl at first. I mean, like, sure, that's intriguing and like, ooh, hot girl probably as a prize who's smart. But it's this book that's really compelling him. Like, I can solve this. I can do it.
I don't even know if, because I don't even think she said she was, like, it wasn't till the end that she was like, if you're a teenage boy, keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know if at first he was just like, ooh, book clues, I'm really smart. And like, the first thing he does is go to the reference desk to ask about the first book.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, no, that's cheating. Like, you have to figure it out on your own.
Right.
So then it became like a direct challenge to him almost.
Yep.
Like, yeah, like, I have to figure out these obscure like book clues in order to fill out the book or the diary. And then at the end, he ends up taking the diary. Like, the whole game is supposed to be that like Lily is trying to find a couple of guys that she might be compatible with.
Right.
He takes the diary, and the guy at the bookstore is like, hey, you're supposed to leave that here. And he's like, no, like, game on. Like, I'm gonna go after this girl. And like, I don't even think it starts as like romantic interest. He's just like, who is this person that thinks they're smarter than me?
Basically,
I'm gonna
yeah.
beat
Like,
them.
you think you can outsmart me, person who's
Right.
created this book. I think not. So Ravenclaw, my
Right,
God,
because
I
like,
can't.
the next step is him immediately trying to trick her, like setting up that sting
Yeah.
operation.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't think so. And that's when he's like, ooh, I'm
Yeah.
really into this now.
And the moment that I texted Lauren that I knew he was a Ravenclaw was not just picking up the book, not just doing all that, because I felt like, okay, other houses would see this as a challenge and go, I can do it. Like, I could see a Gryffindor doing it, I could see a Slytherin doing it, right? But it was the moment that the friend that he used to, well, really, she's like a frenemy. He doesn't like this girl. It's his
It's
ex's
his
friend.
ex, yeah, his ex's friend.
Yeah. She comes in and he's standing in like the sex section of this bookstore. And he's got this book that's like the art of gay sex or something. It's like something ridiculous. And he's looking at it and she's talking to him and she's like, wow, Dash, long time no see. What's that? And is there something like Sophia should know? Sophia's the ex. And he's like, yeah, tell her I'm exploring new avenues. Like, no shame, stone face. He doesn't get red. He doesn't stutter. He's not like, how can I flip this? Nothing. He just sits there and goes, yeah, I'm reading it. Move along.
Yeah,
Like,
there
it
was,
was the most Ravenclaw moment in the whole series to me.
I mean, I had written down that like, moments like that is because like, he's just shameless because he's super sure in himself and his own system. Like, there was a moment later on when his dad and his dad's brand new girlfriend comes home early, and he's like in his boxers, practically naked in a robe. And like, he's
Yeah.
not super flustered at all. Like, he doesn't give his dad an excuse for why he's there, not at his mom's, like his dad thinks he should be.
Yeah.
And he's like practically naked in front of this brand new woman, and he's just like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up? What are you doing home early? Like,
Yeah. And then let me ask you, is there any point in the whole series that you can remember where he is concerned what Lily will think of him? I can't remember that
yeah,
happening.
like, some of the plot. No, well, no, actually. Oh, that's really interesting because like, we're not even into Lily yet, but Lily's whole thing was her worrying that he would find her weird, like she couldn't be
Mm-hmm.
herself. But his problem that multiple people kept telling him is that he was building her up in his head and putting her on a
Right.
pedestal that she shouldn't have been on until he
Yeah.
like, yeah. Yeah,
but
so
he
he didn't
never
care. No,
worries.
he was never concerned about like what she would think of him.
No, because of that self-assuredness. That's like a really, really a Ravenclaw trait that really reminded me of my husband. My husband's a Ravenclaw, and like with girls that he dated before me or even with me, it was very like he did not change any facet of his personality to cater to another person. He's very much take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, that's your loss. And it's something I'm very jealous of in Ravenclaws generally, that they know their worth. I see that with a lot of Ravenclaws. They know their worth. And if you don't like them, that's no loss to them. It's very prevalent in Dash. And it really, really reminded me of my husband. It was just, it was one of those moments where I was like, dang, sometimes being a Gryffindor is rough.
Yeah, I mean, you can like Dash like he doesn't make any effort. Like the TV series starts and he's a loner. Like he had broken up with Sophia and he says all of these friends or Sophia's friends. So like he literally says that and then like they do some voiceovers and when
Yeah.
he first runs into Priya and he's like, well, not really my friend, my ex's friend. So he has this one friend that he would call his friend, this guy named Boomer. But like the rest are nobodies and he like we never even meet his mother. He makes up this story. He tells his mom that he's spending Christmas with his dad and his dad that he's spending Christmas with his mom. So he can then sit in his dad's apartment who is away in Europe or something like that. And
Yeah.
he literally says like, it's my Christmas present to myself. Peace. Like he doesn't want to be around literally anybody.
And it's such a contrast to Lily, who this whole thing is about finding someone. The whole thing is about finding a person, finding someone you connect to. Dash is just not interested in that in his normal day-to-day life anyway. Like he had Sophia, he had that connection. You could see it meant a lot to him because when he does form a connection, it means something really, really important to him because it's rare and because he's not seeking it out at all. Like he's completely fine being this lone wolf. I mean, I think he'd be upset if he lost Boomer, but Boomer's literally all he cares about.
Yeah.
So
and I mean,
that's him.
Actually, you were talking about George earlier, and I picked that up kind of
George
almost.
is my husband.
Yeah, sorry, George is Rachel's husband, but I picked that up almost in a different way with Dash 2, is that he was extremely certain and extremely opinionated about like everything. Like he had an opinion and he was certain on that opinion and like how things should be. And people who did not think that way were just wrong and like not worth it. It wasn't even worth arguing. Like we're not even going to talk about it. That's just not the right way to do it. And like we had talked about, he put Lily on a pedestal. So he like built up this picture of her in his head that obviously fails his expectations because he is so strongly opinionated that it's really hard to reach that level as like a human being. And like how his parents have done things are wrong. And like he's just very, very sure of every single thing that he thinks, which fits in with that like Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Are you saying George is like that? Because he is.
Yeah, and like you had talked about earlier how you can't leave me and George alone in the room because we'll probably kill each other. And like
absolutely
that gets
murder.
me that gets me too. Because as a Slytherin, I'm like, you're so stupid. Let me help you. Like, let me help you realize how you're wrong. And George is just like, nope, and like walks away and isn't bothered by the fact that I'm not thinking the same way.
Nope. I mean, he'll get bothered in the same way that I think Dash would get bothered if he's trying to prove a point to you and you're not seeing it his way. But he's not going to bend to you.
Or like if it's threatening his own system because Ravenclaws start to get a little itchy when you start to get to a point where maybe their logic is being shown as wrong and they're like and they like it's not easy for every Ravenclaw. Most of them don't want it's like it's their truth. It's what they're following. They don't want to be told it's wrong because that's how they've been living their life. So it's kind of hard to convince them that that logic is wrong unless they're like, again, we haven't talked about community yet, but there are Ravenclaws who change systems so quickly just because it's a really tenuous logical hold that's really easy to switch over. But most of them are pretty stubborn on they're following a truth. Like this is their truth. You're not gonna take like the past like 20 years that they've been going by this system and be like, this is why this is incorrect in like a day.
I think that they can critique things around the system or people who also subscribe to it, but they'll still find the positives in it as long as they believe in it. Like they'll still find ways to believe in it despite like a person that they don't like who's part of that community or that system or whatever. Like a Ravenclaw will find a way to justify it 100% of the time. And it's just it's difficult arguing with them.
Yeah,
Like
well,
if you watch Dash and Lily, imagine arguing with Dash. Like imagine trying to change his mind on something.
I mean, and easier than changing their system entirely. They can like incorporate things into it too, right? Like we see Dash do it. We see his system slightly evolve because it's all about like I'm going to only listen to myself. But
Yeah.
these notes that he passes back and forth with Lily and the challenges that they do, they kind of start teaching each other lessons based on what they learn about each other.
Right.
And one of Lily's is to like kind of stop and calm down and like almost think before you speak, which Dash actually kind of takes to heart because he does this. He's like he's making mochi and she's like, listen to your mochi, and like that's the whole lesson. Like you have to stay calm and silent and just like trust your like almost Gryffindor, trust your instincts. And he does it to make the mochi, and then he has to go to dinner with his dad,
right,
who he gets into a ton of fights with a lot because his dad is actually fairly aggravating. So at a point where Dash usually would like have stormed out, he like stops and calms down and like thinks about what to actually say to like make the situation go okay. So like he does like alter his system in that logical way where he was like, this makes more logical sense in the moment, so it's not totally disrupting my truth. Or
right.
like like his whole thing, this isn't really a system, but his whole belief in hating Christmas. And then on Christmas morning, things happen to line up well enough for Dash to briefly be like, it's the magic and belief of Christmas.
Yeah.
And then
after steadfastly like
yeah,
hating Christmas the whole show.
right, he's immediately like, oh my God, Christmas miracles do come true. And like it immediately becomes like crashing down.
But this
He's
is
off that again. But
yeah, this is the thing with Ravenclaws. You have to say the right words in the right moment in the right way to make that special little flip, that special little switch in their brain flip to something different where they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely, totally, I can go along with that. Like it has to be a series of events that lead up to that, though. It's not like a one-on-one conversation where you can prove a point. Like it needs to be several things over time to switch a Ravenclaw over. Because they struggle. They struggle hard.
Well, what I thought was super interesting with Dash is that instead of like he wasn't like I guess all Ravenclaws are going to have different ways too to how they respond to people trying to change their system or people acting in that way. And we actually do see it with Dash. When he is with Sophia, he completely loses himself. Like
Yes.
Sophia picks out his clothes. She speaks for him at parties.
Yep.
And it's because she has realized that he doesn't like speaking to people. But like he ends up telling her later, if you never let me speak, then I'll never learn how to interact with people. But he had been with Sophia to begin with because he liked that about her. But because he's not fitting in, like he's not listening to himself and doing his own thing, which is his whole system. He just totally completely loses himself. And Boomer says that too, where he's like, I love Sophia, but I don't like you two together. Like it's just not.
Yeah,
just
and
not
that's
you.
why Lily is ultimately good for him, because she shows him a way of getting it through his own head, like coming into himself in his own way. And like even the conversation with his father, she teaches him a way to calm down and to navigate through the conversation on his own without Sophia or without someone else telling him what to do or holding his hand through it. And I think that's a huge thing for a Ravenclaw to be able to do. They're very independent, very independent. And I think in high stress situations like that, like with his family, because you see it with his dad, it really stresses him out. It really upsets him because you see inside his head, like he's not going to show that to his dad, but it deeply bothers him. He is going to prefer a way of handling it on his own terms in his own way. And it's better for him to be with someone or to learn that lesson from someone on how to do that than to be with someone who holds his hand through it. And I think that's why he ultimately also outgrows her.
Right. And that's just like his system too, is that he has to trust in himself and he has to be super sure of himself. So when Sophia's doing things for him, it just literally does not give him a chance to do that. he can just be catatonic throughout
Yeah.
the whole thing and not make any decisions on his own or have to listen to himself,
Right.
his own inner thoughts or whatever.
God, they have such interesting brains, Ravenclaws.
They do. They have really crazy brains. Like, God,
It's just something else. It's just something else.
it really is. And they're also different in how they. I think my favorite type of Ravenclaw is actually erratic Ravenclaws, where they're like, try this idea, try this idea, try this idea. Where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you scientist Ravenclaws. I don't know what you would call them, but like experimental Ravenclaws.
The Lunas, the Luna Lovegoods.
The Luna Lovegoods, yes, in that vein. I think that is my favorite type of Ravenclaw to watch.
You like the spacey ones.
I do. The spacey ones are the ones that are. I get maybe that's the Slytherin in me, where it's really really hard because Ravenclaws like Dash, who are logical, are easy to follow logic wise. Like I can see where this is going, and the ones that are like extremely erratic, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I'm not totally sure how you're going to respond to what I say. There's like several different paths that I've laid out here for you that you're gonna go down, but.
They're very, very entertaining from a Gryffindor perspective too, because to me, I'm very impulsive driven. Like I react in the moment in a really big way, in a really loud way. And Ravenclaws tend to look at me like, and just like stare at me and just go, why? But why? Like, I don't understand. And they won't even like, this isn't even just my husband, it's other Ravenclaws I know. They'll just look at me and just go, but why did you do that? Like, why are you raising your voice? Why did you react that way? And it drives me bonkers. It drives me insane. It's like, because I felt it. And they're like,
oh yeah, there's
and then they ask 20 questions about it, and there's
no emotion there.
No, and they're so interested in dismantling like your reaction. They're like, they want to figure you out. They really do. No matter what kind of Ravenclaw it is, I feel like they're really interested in understanding other people. I don't know if it's to judge them or to like them more or whatever it is. Every Ravenclaw is different, but they're really, really interested in getting in your head. They're interesting.
I don't know. I was just thinking about Dash's reaction, and Dash is the self-assured Ravenclaw, so I think he would just decide that he had figured out why you acted that way, the way that you did, which would also drive you insane.
Yeah, because you think you know better than me? What? Maybe you do. You shut up.
But I was just thinking too. Like we had talked about how he was the one who really was the driving force behind turning this whole thing into a game and like challenges or whatever. And so it comes to the point where when they actually meet, that Dash is immediately like it didn't turn out the way that he thought it would. So he was like, we both lost.
Yeah.
It's over. We can never speak again because we both lost. Like we lost this game of a relationship. What are you talking about?
I mean, Lauren knows what I mean when I say like this character reminded me so much of my husband. That's exactly how George goes through life. Like as a Ravenclaw, it's exactly like that. If it doesn't align with the way that he's decided,
he was thinking, all
done.
Yeah.
But then
he was like, something made me sad. We both lost. Goodbye.
Exactly. He can't deal. And then something else will happen that comes along and things start to fall back into place and his brain starts to get massaged and he's like, ooh, never mind. I can fix it. I can make it go back. Like it's, oh my God. They're just the most interesting house. They really are.
I mean, with Lily, it was Lily was moving away and she told Dash and Dash was like, I can't let this interesting person go. I don't really, and it's a romance. So you have to give us some liberties too. But yeah, like that's just Dash. I can't even really, like the only other thing I can think of where I was like, a Ravenclaw, is towards the end of the series, Boomer had known the entire time who Lily was and was kind of helping her out. And Dash found out and got extremely upset about it and actually went to his like apartment where he was celebrating Christmas with his family and yelled at Boomer and was basically like, here's your present. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Whatever it was. And Boomer was like, I was trying to help you. Like, this is what friends do. I was trying to help you. I thought this would be really good for you. And Dash's whole thing was like, I don't need your help. I don't need typical Dash, what we've already been talking about. I don't need your help. I don't need anybody. Like, stop babying me. And Boomer was like, Jesus, I was just being friends. But whatever. Right. And so then Dash does not speak to him for a week. Doesn't text him, whatever. And then when he needs help, he like ends up needing help with Lily, he just tries to get in contact with him again. And then when Boomer doesn't answer him, goes to find him and is like, after a week of not speaking to him, is like, okay, cool. So can you help me? And Boomer was like, are we still friends? Like, what are you talking about? Which is an extremely like Ravenclaw type thing, that they would just emotionally detach themselves from like the people in their lives and then come back and be like, hey, so what's up? I took my time. And everybody else is like, no.
Right.
Like I needed some like warning that that's what you were doing,
right.
or like
it's funny because he offers Boomer very little in the way of forgiveness when he finds that out, even though Boomer was doing it to help him, right? In any case, people react differently to how they feel when they feel betrayed. But it's just interesting seeing it positioned next to each other, because he really upsets Boomer by doing that, obviously, when going to his house and being like, friendship over, and then just shows back up and is like, yeah, so what? I didn't forgive you, but like, let's just move on. We don't have to have a whole big thing about it. Doesn't have to be a whole emotional thing.
Yeah, and
I think Ravenclaws are very they're very like aware of that, of their emotional attachments being kind of, I don't want to say weakness, but they're aware of them and they can regulate them well. Like they're very in control of them.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, it's so interesting. I don't want this to sound negative because I almost wish that I could do this, but it's almost like Slytherins and Hufflepuffs need other people. That's like an inherent thing. And then Gryffindors are just so emotional that they end up connecting with other people anyway. Like they go crazy if somebody's not loving them. So Rachel's just nodding at me like, yeah. But I think Ravenclaws are like, obviously as a human being, you want to be connected to other people. But I think they can just really easily separate, like, this is an emotional need that I have versus like, don't need it right now. And like, they're totally okay with it.
They can compartmentalize it completely. Yeah. That's why it's so interesting when you pair him with Lily. Because Lily is a huge Hufflepuff.
I guess we should we'll save it for after we talk about Lily. We were Rachel came at me right away and was like, can you think of any Ravenclaw Hufflepuff pairings? Like pairings? And I was like, can you think of a moment in the actual canon of Harry Potter where Ravenclaw and a Hufflepuff ever like interacted? And she was like, oh, Cedric and Cho. And I was like, but did we see them interact or did we see them stand next to each other so Harry went crazy? And she was like,
And then, I wanted to say Lupin and Tonks because I always forget Lupin's a Gryffindor. I always forget it. I don't know why my brain does that.
He was almost Ravenclaw, according to her.
Like, yeah, but I just wonder why I do that all the time. I'm always like, yeah, Lupin, Ravenclaw. And then I'm like, he was a marauder. What are you talking about?
Your brain's going all stereotypical with him because he liked
I know.
reading.
I think I did that as a kid. And you haven't outgrown it. Kind of like how I did not want to be a Gryffindor because I thought it was like it was too popular and it was like the big one. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be one of the cool lesser known ones. So my name is Rachel, so I used to put like RAY Venclaw. Like that's how Lauren met me on Twitter.
She did. I met her when she thought she was a Ravenclaw. That didn't last long.
No, because I didn't really think I was a Ravenclaw. I knew I wasn't, but I thought it would make me sound cooler. Do you see? I love Ravenclaws. I really do. I think they sometimes infuriate me like Slytherins do, but like I wish I had a Ravenclaw brain more than any other house. So interesting. I love to not need other people, not need emotional attachments, like, or even if I do need them, just be able to compartmentalize and decide I'm more important right now. Like I can never do that. Never. So I'm jelly.
It's so, no, let's talk about Lily because I could go into talking about like houses too.
I know.
I'm like, I can compartmentalize people and like be like, I don't need this right now. Except then when I'm like taking time to myself and Rachel comes to me and goes, something terrible happened to me. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like I'm immediately there.
Yeah. But you're also like, you need people. You do. You need your circle. You really, really do. You can go off on your own for a little bit, but then you get mad at people for like giving you that
why
space.
Why aren't you coming after me?
It's so nuts because Lauren will have these moments where she goes off for a fucking week and she's just like to herself. And I'm like, okay, she needs to not hear me like screaming about random things right now. And she'll come back like all butthurt, like, and nobody reached out. And it's like, where fucking were you? Like, I thought you needed space. If I say I need space, I mean it, but it's very rare. It's very rare. I usually need to be yelling.
The like leaving is the cry for help because I'm usually there all the time.
It doesn't compute. This is probably something that all Slytherin and Gryffindor friendships have problems with, because she says this to me, right? She says, I'm leaving and that's the cry for help, but I can't. I'm like, but why aren't you screaming? If you need help, like, why aren't you yelling it at me?
Why aren't you crying in pain?
This like, happened today when we were talking about like recording the podcast. Like, she wasn't feeling super well at one point, and then I was like, okay, what do we need to do? And she's like, I need you to force me to do it. I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? I'm trying to be helpful.
It's like I need the commitment made by somebody else so that I feel beholden to doing it for them.
Absolutely insane.
Because
nuts.
I am nuts. Because if it was up to me, I was like, I don't feel well, I'm not doing this. And then my brain starts going, but I'm doing it with someone else, and that someone needs me. So I need them to tell them.
Slytherin thing, though. This is a big Slytherin thing, though, because if it was flipped and I said I'm not feeling well, Lauren would give me a list of reasons of why I should do it anyway, because she's trying to hold me to this standard of like, be the best you. I'm going to push you through it. Like, you can do it. And it comes off sometimes where I'm like, oh my God, just understand. And then she's like, no, because I know you can do better. I'm like, oh my God, your poor future children, your poor future kids.
No, but then also if you're like, I'm sick, I'm like, please leave.
Oh yeah, no, of course. I know, but if I'm just being like a little bitch about something, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like, you're not.
Well, I can tell when you're being a little bitch about something.
You won't just let me be a little bitch about it, though.
Get over your feelings about the Supernatural finale already, Rachel. No. It happened and it's over.
No, I hate it. I hate it.
Anyway, Lily.
Anywho, Hufflepuffs. Lily's cute.
She's extremely cute. And like we said, like the big like you turn on the show and you're like, oh no, is that Lily loves Christmas and Dash hates Christmas. And it's like the opposite for Lily because her parents and her grandparents met on Christmas. And I think she had said that her brother and his boyfriend met on Christmas. And then they also broke up. Season. But like, yeah, but they had met on Christmas or whatever.
Right.
So like, and her family's like entirely into Christmas. Like they wear matching PJs in the morning and it's like this big, huge thing. And you can tell too, like the people who are helping her when she gives Dash challenges are people that are part of her family. Like the guy at the bookstore is one of her cousins and she has him go talk to Santa Claus, who is like her Uncle Sal. So she has like this whole network of family members who are helping her like meet this guy. And they all actually, it's really funny too, because a lot of them immediately meet Dash and are like, mm-mm. Like the Santa guy is like, I don't think you're right for her because you seem super persnickety. He's like, I don't want you going near her. And then Dash also ends up meeting her great aunt because he's trying to track her down through a shoe that she lost, and that leads him to her great aunt. And who Rachel had just told me is the best character on the show, which I hadn't really thought about. Yeah, but agree with. But
my fave.
The great aunt was talking to him and was like listening to all his like cynicism and was like, I don't think you're right for Lily. And she like basically what she pulled out of him is that he does genuinely care about her and that's what she needed. But like upon the initial first impression, she was like, I'm not really sure I want you talking to my great niece.
Yeah, no, well, that's the whole thing about Lily. That was the first thing that made me put her in Hufflepuff, was just seeing the community of the family, because it's not just so much that she has a big family and that, you know, you want to just say, oh, okay, well, that's super easy because she's got this group of people. That's her community she's loyal to. It's like so deep. She relies on them so much for everything, even down to the scavenger hunt. Like that wasn't her idea. That's her brother.
Right, it's her brother, yeah.
And she's going to go along with it because she's also a peacekeeper, and she's also it's also, she wants it. She's interested in it. She really is seeking something new.
She is. That's the whole, like, Lily's part of the story is that she is technically looking for another community. And like what emerges, like she actually straight up says at one point that I've always wanted to fit in, but I've never done anything in order to do so. Like she's
Right.
never actually tried. And like they bring that she's part of a caroling troupe, and the caroling troupe is like, why don't you go outside your bubble? And she's like, what are you talking about? And they literally show her like this, like, I don't know how many blocks it was, but it was a really small amount of space that it was like the only part of the city that she travels, and like she does, like
Yeah.
it's just routine. So she's not even trying to meet other people until this journal thing where she's like 17 and never been kissed, and she's like, I want to meet a boy, and they decide to do that through books because she loves books.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, very right away Hufflepuff personality. Just based on everything that she does, and just the way she talks, the way that she views Christmas, the way she views this very special time that's extremely important to her family. Like how Lauren said, they're all in their holiday PJs and they make it such a
Yeah.
huge deal. And it's the time where she's in that community, like, and that sense of it is just fostered and nurtured, and she's just so happy in it that she extends it as a core part of her personality. It's like Christmas is the time that my community is together, and it's the time that's been important since childhood. So Christmas is everything now,
You know
and
what's
she loves it.
what's super interesting that I've actually just thought of is that Dash and Lily's stories are kind of parallel but from different houses. Because Dash's system is that he listens to himself and is very self assured of himself. And I
Mm-hmm.
had written down that Lily's main loyalty is to her sense of self. She protects who she is. She talks so much about how she doesn't fit in and she's a weirdo and she makes her own clothes. And when she was a kid, she made friendship bracelets for everybody in the school for Christmas. And some boy she had a crush on called her a weirdo, and like that was the moment that she decided she was never going to let anybody hurt her again. But she never tried to mold herself into something else for other people to like her,
No,
like
never.
to fit into other communities. She's very protective of her own identity.
Yeah,
And her problem, unlike like Dash's whole issue, is that he's so sure of himself that he refuses to bend to anybody else.
right,
And Lily is so afraid of what others will think of herself that she won't open herself to others.
right.
So they're
Yeah,
like
but she's
almost
also
the
unwilling to change.
right, but they're like almost the exact same stories from different houses,
That's
which is
true.
super interesting.
I wonder if that was a writer's choice.
Yeah, they were
Very,
like, this character's a Ravenclaw and this character's a Hufflepuff. What
yeah,
if we told the same story?
it's true. It's true. Something that really struck me about Lily as a Hufflepuff is something we spoke about in one of our, I guess, future podcasts. Again, we're recording these out of order.
Speaking into the future.
Um, is that Hufflepuffs can really other people.
Yeah.
And what is the bully's name from her childhood again?
Edgar.
Edgar. I believe his name's Edgar. We're going to call him Edgar. If not, he's
Mhm.
the big white guy that's a bully. So he's a problem for her. She makes these friendship bracelets when she's a kid, and he like throws it down. He's like, "Oh, what a weirdo!" And that like haunts her for the rest of her life. That the guy she had a
Yeah.
crush on thought she was weird. It really sits in her for literally the rest of her life up till she's 17. And then when she comes across him again, it's like extremely triggering for her because the first thing he goes is, "Oh, you're so weird." And he means it in an endearing way, which is annoying. Like,
Is it
that's,
he's being like typical annoying, like teenage boy trying to
yeah,
flirt, like like
yeah.
like
He's trying to say, "Hey,
you're
I
not
meant
like
it in a
other
good way."
girls.
Yeah. So he's trying to do that to her, and she's already othered him. And when a Hufflepuff others you, it's very easy for them to view you through a lens of like, well, you're a bad person. Like, you're a bad person. And but the other thing about Hufflepuffs
She
is
does that
that
slam poetry with
they,
him.
yeah, that's the other thing about them though, is that they will always give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, always. And it's, I mean, unless you do something truly deeply unforgivable, like I'm sure if he hit her mom with his car, she wouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt anymore, right? But just in being that there's this sense of intrigue around this guy that's been othered in her childhood and in her adolescence, later adolescent years, she's like, yeah, okay, let's try it again. Like, you've apologized and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. That's so Hufflepuff.
She almost because she doesn't do it completely, but she almost others people in order to make herself feel okay about the fact that she's not trying to reach out to them. Like when she goes to the party, she is sitting in the corner alone and nobody has like she made her own like Christmas tree ugly sweater or whatever. So she had
Right.
like glued garland onto this green sweater and nobody makes fun of her or even gives her weird looks. They're just all dressed like glamorously, I guess.
Right.
And she immediately like puts herself in the corner and she doesn't try to talk to people. And she even makes the comment like she really thinks that these people will not like her and will think she's weird. And it's almost like she's like, not other them in the sense that I think these are bad people, but just in the sense that I shouldn't go interact with them because I just know it won't work out from the beginning.
Right.
Like even what makes her leave the party is that they play truth or dare and she chooses dare and they're trying to ask her like like they're like where's the
It's truth.
It's truth. She picks truth and it's just like where's the like the most interesting place you've been kissed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Lily's never been kissed, so she like just does not answer. And Priya, like nobody's making fun of her. Priya is trying. She's like,
Yeah.
went on a date, held hands, and like Lily's just standing there. And I think if she had been like, I haven't been anywhere with anyone yet, they would have been like, oh, okay, would have given another question.
Yeah.
But she just stands there staring at them, and Priya's trying to throw something out that she can answer.
Yeah, because she's petrified of what other people are going to think about her, and in doing so, she does other them. You're completely right. Like, it's the same thing going back, though, to giving the benefit of the doubt about it. Like, I really don't think that she wouldn't help someone at the party or, like, try to find something good about someone at the party if they spoke to her, because Dash does.
Well, Dash
That's when they first meet.
Yeah.
So
No, but she does. She immediately thinks that because he says nice sweater. And she's like, yeah, I know you think I'm weird. And he was like, no, genuinely nice sweater. Right. And then she was okay. But she immediately was ready to be like, I know he won't like me.
Yeah. Very, very Hufflepuff othering there. I know it's something that we've talked about before. And I'm always like, when people listen to us talk about Hufflepuffs othering people, it's not like a common, I don't think it's something people think about when they think of Hufflepuffs, right? Because I think these like really cute, loyal, nice sweeties all the time or whatever. But
it's why they have to other people though, because if everybody's worthy of your like attention and love, that's hard, man. And that makes you like super Hufflepuff. I'm trying to think even of an example of like the sweetest person and like it has to be like some sort of Disney princess, right? Like that just like every single person is worthy of their attention or whatever. But Lily's like I wrote down she's very optimistic about life and like humanity in general, like all people. And she like that's one of her things with Dash. She's like, even when things go wrong, I always just look for the rainbow. And Dash is like, sometimes there's no rainbows. And she's like, there's always a rainbow. And Dash is like, but she does learn that lesson that there isn't. And actually it comes because the rage comes when other people fail her, which in this case where she went out and like kicked a bunch of snowmen down was because her family is actually moving to Fiji instead of her parents just like visiting for their honeymoon, and they hadn't told her. And her brother kind of spitefully spills that to her, that nobody was going to tell you that you're going to have to move to Fiji. And she like rages like, this is an injustice against me. and there is no rainbow here. And I actually had written down like the injustice thing comes up with her a couple of times because she does admonish Dash for trying to cheat in the game.
Right.
Like, he's like, that's not fair. Don't do that.
Yeah. And it's funny because doing that was a very Ravenclaw thing of him. And her response to that was a very Hufflepuff response. Like, that's wrong. You can't do that.
But then she also kind of cheats because she knows Boomer. So, but I guess Dash had never specifically said, you can't speak to my best friend because he didn't know that option was in play.
Right. Well, but she uses her manipulation to get Boomer, to give her more information too. She's like, well, he tried to swindle me. So.
Right.
Yeah. She's a big Hufflepuff. She's a big old Huff. She can't really develop like until she's forced out of her community, right? She needs to be forced out of her comfort zone of what her community is to have her like teenage rebellious phase at all, to go to that concert and to go and break free and let loose for a little while.
Oh, the Jewish club.
Shoved out of it. Yeah, the Jewish punk band, which was awesome. But as long as she's allowed to stay in her bubble, she's going to stay where it's comfortable, even though she's unhappy because it's her community.
Well,
She's
that's what
loyal
was,
to it.
yeah, I was going to say that's what was kind of interesting too, because it was her grandpa almost that was keeping her there because like she comes back from that club late and he's there and he grounds her. Um, and then like towards the end of the story, he's like, I don't like what you've become, which has been
Mm,
like she went to this club and I guess he was probably thinking about her bringing her great aunt over who he has a tiff with, like he doesn't want to talk to her,
right.
and she gets like drunk once as a 17-year-old,
Right.
and is pretty responsible about it, and then and like she's just sad so she got drunk, like none of her family decided to spend Christmas with her.
Right.
And then but her grandfather at the end, like as a punishment, was like, I was gonna let you stay with me here in New York, but I don't like what you've become, so you
Mhm.
have to go with your parents to Fiji because I think that would be good for you, like this has all been bad. And she totally like takes responsibility for that growth and the choices that she made. She's kind of like, fine, I'll go to Fiji, like screw you. Like,
Yeah.
so but it
Yeah.
is her grandpa that's like holding her there, I guess.
Yeah, completely. He's the one that she's most loyal to. That's the one that's the hardest to break out of, and she's never disappointed him before. Like when they're at that when he's giving them the envelopes of gifts, and
Yeah.
her brother's like, you have to have the shame first, and she's like, what do you mean? I'm not, that's never happened to me. And then it does happen to her, and she's like, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
she doesn't like disappointing people or letting people down, like, and that's like
yeah.
that's all related to her not wanting people to view her like negatively, I guess, like
Oh yeah.
because she loves herself, but what other people think of her is a real problem for her and
Yeah.
loving herself.
Well, poor Lily. That's so
Poor
sad.
Lily. Which
But
then I guess like we
I
already want I
would
want
just
to go
say
back
like,
to it though. How is this working out? Like I guess because their storylines are so similar, that could be how a Ravenclaw and a Hufflepuff.
well, we do actually know one couple. We know, we know.
No, we
We're not
don't.
naming names. I don't want to name drop people, okay? But we do know a Ravenclaw and a Hufflepuff that seem to
Yeah,
make it
but
work fine.
it's an erratic Ravenclaw and a grumpy Hufflepuff, which I feel is like they've hit the jackpot combination of
Yeah,
like of the Hufflepuff being just intrigued enough to be like, what is going on here? And the Ravenclaw
yeah.
finding it fun to poke. So
Like Lauren said, it's an erratic Ravenclaw and a grumpy Hufflepuff, so that's completely different than Dash and Lily. Like Dash is the very logical, very he's colder, I guess. He's very much he doesn't need other people.
yeah.
That kind of Ravenclaw, and she's the happy, peppy, yay, Hufflepuff. But I think it's like no matter what kind of Ravenclaw it is, and no matter what kind of Hufflepuff it is, that's such an interesting pairing. That's
They
so
are.
compelling.
They are like the most opposite houses that I can think of.
That's why I was using the example of the couple that we know. They're very specific, but the way that they work, I feel like is sort of how Dash and Lily could work too. I think that the couple we're aware of, we think that the Ravenclaw is really, really interested in figuring out how the Hufflepuff works and like
Well, you
being
had
so
said
intrigued by that.
when you make George sort characters before we do this, George has an
Mhm.
issue pointing out the Hufflepuffs.
Yeah, every single time. Every single time. He clocks Gryffindors, Ravenclaws, and Slytherins immediately and agrees with us. He'll never pick Hufflepuff. Like he doesn't get them. He does not understand Hufflepuffs at all. And he has a friend who is a Hufflepuff, but it's like a friend that they're like gamers, so they're not like I don't see them interact in real life. But he'll go to me and say like, "Oh, my friend is so like he's so sweet, like he's so cute the way he thinks. Like it's just like it's so nice to just sit and talk. Like maybe they fix their brains. Maybe Hufflepuffs like give Ravenclaw's like a brain massage. I don't
This is
know.
driving me nuts.
Yeah,
Like the
I really want
Hufflepuff
to
and
feel for
Ravenclaw
everyone
in
that.
Marvel are literally the least interactive of the six on the team. Like they
Yep.
never speak to each other. Um,
Damn.
this is gonna drive me insane. It's
I
just
know.
like dead space now of us trying to think of Ravenclaws that we know.
Well, actually, I hope that was giving listeners an opportunity to think in their lives of the Ravenclaws and Hufflepuffs they know. Because when we put this episode up, I'd like for you guys to come to our social media pages and talk to us about it because it actually is driving us insane. we really want to know more about these kinds of relationships because it was probably one of the most interesting things about Dash and Lily for me because Dash and Lily is a very it's just a cute show, right?
It's, like I said, it requires no brain power.
Yeah, it's not the most compelling narrative in the world. But the two personalities together, that's what really kept me interested. And I was like, how is this going to work? And I didn't realize until after the fact that was bothering me so much because I so rarely, if at all, see Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws together in a romantic capacity. Or now that I'm thinking about it, even as friends. But I'm sure that some of our listeners are Hufflepuffs or Ravenclaws and have Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw friends.
Yeah.
Or partners. What about? No. Nope. I've got nothing.
Put an ad in the newspaper. Are you a Ravenclaw who knows a Hufflepuff?
I'm going to tweet it from the
account.
Please
respond.
I'm going to tweet it from the account. Once this episode goes up, I'm going to tweet it.
We want to speak to you.
Yeah, please contact us and let us know how your relationship works.
SOB_pod on Twitter or sortofbrilliant@gmail.
Yeah, no, please mail in your stories.
Mail in your stories. Dear Abby us. Dear Abby us with your relationships.
Dear Pod, I am a Hufflepuff who's dating a Ravenclaw and I am going slowly insane. Or like a Ravenclaw. I'm a Ravenclaw who's dating a Hufflepuff and I don't get it. Can you help me? I don't get it.
I need help.
Oh, they're such interesting houses. That I really do. I think that was my favorite part of Dash and Lily is that their Hogwarts houses are so strange to put together. In
that specific variant of that Hogwarts house.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, they're interesting. Well, seriously, reach out to us, please.
Yeah, I mean, this episode's ending on us being like, what?
Yeah, can you guys end the episode by sending your stories in and letting us know how your personal relationships work out? Share all of your personal info with us. I mean, no big deal.
Then come on the show and talk about it.
Yeah, let's do a whole segment where we have you and your Hufflepuff girlfriend and boyfriend.
And think about, people, you probably do this not thinking about houses. I bet, with your partner or with your friend, where you go, you're the Rachel to my Monica or whatever.
Yeah.
So tell us who you compare yourself to in media and then be like, I'm a Hufflepuff. And we're going to look at that and be like, huh. So
I was thinking as we were talking, people as they start to listen to it, and people are mostly aware of their Hogwarts house, right? Especially if you're listening to this podcast, you have some idea of where you would land. And I just, if I was the one listening to the podcast, I'd listen to it sort of like getting my horoscope read because I'd want to hear, what do they know about me?
Yeah.
Tell me more about me. So
Absolutely.
You tell us more about you. I'm interested in you as a person on a fundamental level. Come and chat with us. Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws especially, please.
Yes. I know lots of Hufflepuffs.
Super interesting. Yeah.
As a Slytherin, I don't attract too many Ravenclaw friends. Although the ones I have, I hold extremely dear to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for them for putting up with me. But
yeah, I'm a fan of them. I am. I'm jealous.
Yeah, you married one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, this is ending on a super contemplative note. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Guys.
Whatever you celebrate.
Enjoy it. And if you're an atheist, just enjoy the time off, man.
Yeah. Happy season.
Happy day.
Happy end of this goddamn year.
Oh, please, God.
We have one more episode this year, and we're really excited because some new goddamn media is coming out. So if you guys have a chance to catch Wonder Woman 2 on HBO Max or in theaters if it is safe where you live. Not everywhere is America where it sucks. So that'll be our next episode. It's the first time we're promoting, but it's only because you actually have to watch something new in order to understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's going to be amazing. So
yeah, super excited. Chris Pine is my bae. All right.
Yeah, he's all right.
The best Chris. All right.
No, that's Hemsworth. Good day to you.
He's the second best. How can you do this to Nicholas of Prince Genovia?
We have to sort them. All right, guys. We will see you soon. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Sort of Brilliant. If our sorting choices inspired any rage or excitement, we'd love to hear from you. We're open to feedback, suggestions for characters to sort, and solid counter arguments with citations.
Never forget your citations. You can find us hanging out on Twitter and Instagram at sob_pod, or shoot us an email at sortofbrilliant@gmail.com.
And since we're not above begging, please rate and subscribe to Sort of Brilliant on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please share our posts on social media, and if you're a Gryffindor, maybe you'll inspire sorting fights among your own friend group.
Our theme music is Hot Shot by Scott Holmes. Can't wait to sort with you again next time. Bye!